In the meantime, we're likewise getting more subtleties on the Tupac Shaker murder examination. ABC News is looking further into the objective of the current week's police search. And what they took, I figure there could, at any point, be additional means taken for this situation, it's 27 years of age, is that he says that he realizes who shot Tupac. And what he said in that narrative was that it came from the back. The focal question stays unanswered, even almost 30 years after the puzzling misfortune that guaranteed Tupac's life, who was answerable for the shooting that elaborated the rapper and a firearm anyway. Apparently, we are lucky to reside in a period when we can get this data. And apparently the proof focuses to the individual who many individuals had proactively thought Diddy is purportedly in a frenzy at the returning of Tupac's case. And this has been accounted for by various news sources. The resuming of Tupac's case has been getting out and about on the web of late. And as per the material that has been delivered, the police have sufficient grounds to recognize the shooter who killed the rapper a long time back that we can close this case, since this has been such a fables for such a long time. And a discussion, the name of Diddy has purportedly come up corresponding to the as of late returned request. And the police have a long list of motivations to accept that the shooter didn't act alone. Will the music tycoon in the end deal with repercussion? However, how about we go into the points of interest? Thus, the evening of September 7, 1996, when rapper Tupac was shot and killed in a hit-and-run assault in Las Vegas, it turned into a troubled day for the overwhelming majority of his admirers. He kicked the bucket from his 4 projectile injuries 6 days after the fact, regardless of various reports and allegations. The case has never brought about a capture or conviction, with specialists faulting hesitant observers for its strange status. Find in Diddy brushes, the head of famous music, was regularly referenced as a suspect, yet the proprietor of Narrow's Kid Records did just disperse those tales. There has been negative, misleading publicity put out about me that is false. The Las Vegas Metropolitan Police Office declared on Tuesday, July 18, 2023, that a court order had been conceded comparable to the rapper's 1996 homicide. The second biggest city in Nevada and area of the warrant is Henderson, which is 16 miles southeast of Las Vegas. The examination has unexpectedly continued after 6 rounds were found at the place of Dwayne Davis, usually known as Keefe D, to learn whether the shots were associated with the passing of the rap symbol. Criminological specialists will inspect the rounds, and despite the fact that it gives off an impression of being an unmistakable mark of Keefe ID's contribution in this wrongdoing, the specialists presently have a very sizable amount of motivation to accept that Diddy ought to be considered responsible for this sad misfortune. You can be sure that I know why it happened. I can tell you precisely why it happened. It's happened due to Keith Ed running his psyche. One of the 4 people who authorities accept were in the suspect vehicle with Tupac the night he was shot was Davis, or Keith D. Orlando Anderson. The underlying suspect in the shooting was Keith Ed's nephew. Consequently, it isn't as to be expected that Orlando himself was killed in a group-related shop talk in Los Angeles. Not long after Tupac's passing, Keith D.D., who was the subject of a joint examination by the police in Los Angeles and Las Vegas, previously denied any contribution in this wrongdoing. Yet in the end, gave data to specialists as a feature of a confined non-indictment understanding. There should be something else to this account besides Keefe ID was able to concede, and there is phenomenal reason to accept that D was associated with the death plot overall, as many have accepted from the very beginning. How frequently are you going to go on a television and express that before someone must take some kind of act, even while the total examination isn't probably going to wrap up for half a month to months? The simple information that the case had been returned sent Diddy into a spiral, and apparently the music magnate was associated with this wrongdoing. The specialists currently have sufficient proof to charge Diddy as an associate in this wrongdoing, regardless of whether the music magnate might not have been the one shooting the firearm Diddy. From that point, wouldn't help out the examination by concealing all indications of his association, and surprisingly, discharged Orlando Anderson. During a past meeting, previous official Greg Kading endeavored to name and disgrace the infamous maker. Furthermore, Kading feels that the events that killed Big Deal Smalls and Tupac, two other earlier rap legends, were associated by him. The cop found new data interfacing the two occurrences. Case criminal investigator got to the end that Seeing Brushes paid Orlando Anderson to execute a $1 million hit on both Tupac and Suge Knight. Did he felt totally unapproachable? The analyst said in spite of the way that he employed somebody to complete the shooting and never set foot inside that car even 27 years after the fact, Diddy's supporters actually can hardly hang tight for him to be rebuffed for this wrongdoing. The quantity of bits of hearsay concerning the rapper's supposed contribution in other terrible deeds against superstars recommends that no one has confidence in his honesty, since he seemed, by all accounts, to be so particularly frightful as one individual noticed the accompanying case to be returned. Is Kim Watchman's others one more typical to comment that this happens when you don't really partake in the music and are just in it for the cash? Genuine performers don't haphazardly kill individuals. Since Kaffidi's home has been broadly researched by the police, they have sufficient data and confirmation to work with, and apparently it will just take a short time to assemble the pieces and record charges against the essential bad guy in this story. The officials probably found a ton of proof all through their pursuit, since it proposes that Dewey might have been engaged with this strange case. As per the day-to-day Mirror, Las Vegas police likewise found different projectiles. They plan to utilize measurable examination to check whether these slugs are associated in any capacity to the ones found in Tupac's body or at the crime location. It will require an investment to decide how the shots connect with this case, whether it be as far as one of the shots their significance, or both given the volume of proof the police have found at Keefe ID's home. Apparently he would rather not be considered responsible for a wrongdoing he didn't do, and that at some point or another he will stop safeguarding Puff the music tycoon, owes Keefe a ton, as he would like to think, for concealing this wrongdoing for almost 30 years. And he guarantees that it is currently difficult to keep a position of safety, on the grounds that the police are only one stage away from finding reality. For additional more than 25 years, manslaughter criminal investigators have held criminological proof from the scene. For example, slugs and Tupac's clothing in a protected area. Furthermore, the crime locations, shells, shots, and powder have gone through broad logical examination. And apparently Diddy will not pull off messy legitimizations. This time the music tycoon simply said, "We don't discuss things that are babble," when gotten some information about the cases that he recruited hired gunmen to kill Tupac. Even hogwash isn't engaged by us. We won't go there since it's my sibling. With all due regard, I esteem your request as a columnist. I'm appreciative. With more data becoming visible, apparently Puffy's long-time association otter stockings and abundant resources won't be sufficient to get orange jumpsuit. Far from him, the assailant shot, battered, and looted the rapper multiple times in 1994, which they then, at that point, revealed CN Brushes has been Tupac's furious bad guy ever before this occurrence. And their contempt went on until Tupac's passing in 1996. As is being conjectured, Diddy utilized Keefe ID's nephew to carry out the homicide to use his assets and associations with bring down the rapper anyway after the request is finished. And the specialists have inspected the shots that were found in Keefe ID's home. The music versatile can be recognized as Orlando's accessory and condemned to an extended period in jail. These rounds are the indistinguishable ones that show up in Two Miss. That generally speeds things a ton, while Diddy has recently stayed away from the iron clench hand of equity. It appears as though there is no way to refute the staggering proof, and the observer who has been chipping away at the case's examination from the very start. Numerous devotees currently enthusiastically expect the scandalous music magnate's eyes and urge him to prepare to abandon his greatest years. The bars envision being rebuffed for disposing of Tupac. As one analyst put it, have some good times in prison, man. I want to believe that they bring supposed Puff Daddy P. Diddy, or anything you desire to call him, another client remarked. I accept he will before long enter jail. And considering the amount he appreciates being around men, he ought to rapidly be content well. I really do trust that the request carries conclusion to Tupac's family and allies, and that the individual liable for his troublesome passing is dealt with. Do you accept that this man will be considered responsible for his wrongdoings? And will there be adequate confirmation to toss him behind bars? Share your valuable considerations in the remarks underneath. In the event that you like this video, should share it to your loved ones. Remember to buy in our feed for additional recordings.